I cashed with 4 out of 5 complimentary plays in college and pro ball last weekend, and I've got 3 selections for this Saturday card, starting with the late night game between Utah State and San Diego State coming up in just a moment. Now, if you happen to be along for the ride yesterday with me, I had a rare 20-dime college football release, only the 15th ever in my career, and I was going for college football winner number 10 out of 13 overall, dating back to last season, and I went with Utah minus the 3.5 points at Southern Cal. Well, as you know, it turned out to be a loser. And also, if you happen to be along for the ride in the long haul with me, you know I often have said, going back to the years that I had my nationwide radio show, that there are no guarantees in gambling. And let me tell you, that game proved that axiom correct once more last night. Because if you happen to watch the game, USC's quarterback, now remember, that's the second string quarterback, because their first stringer, JT Daniel, got knocked out in the first half of the opening game against Fresno State for the season-ending knee injury. Well, the second stringer, the second play of the game last night, had his bell rung, possible concussion, did not return. So the third stringer, who had contemplated leaving the program, in fact entered the transfer portal earlier, Matt Fink, comes in, first 2 drives, leads the Trojans to touchdowns, right? Completes 20 of 31 passes, 351 yards. Needless to say, that is a career high. And the Trojans, once again, beat Utah at Memorial Coliseum. And after the game, I'm sitting here and I'm just wondering, and I don't have any answer and never will have an answer to this conjecture. What happens if the third string quarterback never enters the game? Does Utah dominate like I thought they would? It's just one of those things. The stars aligned, I think, and everything worked for USC. What are you going to do? You shrug your shoulders, just like I'm doing right now, because there are no guarantees in gambling. And as I've always said, again, look it up in the dictionary. You will not find those 2 words on the same page. And also, as I've always said, it's why you can't celebrate the wins, nor can you lament the losses. If you're a gambler, and isn't that why you're watching this report? Because you're not tuning in to see whether or not I shaved today. That's the bottom line. Listen, you cannot be one of those guys after a tough loss, a fluky loss like last night's, or after a big win, but especially after a loss, you cannot be one of those guys that is always like teetering, right on the edge, thinking about taking that step over the edge. Can't be that guy walking on the ledge all the time. You can't be. You're going to lose games. It happens. You're going to lose games in the flukiest of ways. It's going to happen. You're going to have devastating losses. Trust me, it's going to happen. Frequently. It's part of gambling. And you're going to move on. And the most important thing is, you have to not let yesterday affect today. Really, you can't. For me personally, hell, I'm coming right back with another Raise the Bar 20-dime play tonight because there is a game I absolutely love. And it's in the same damn conference, the Pac-12. It's Washington State and UCLA. I love the game. I'm going to get my money back. Because if I don't play the game tonight the way it should be played with that same 20-dime rating, I will be kicking myself in the ass tomorrow because I didn't bet it the right way. And if I lose tonight, I can accept that, because at least I played the game the way it should be played. But if I don't play it the right way and I win, well, then I'm going to be kicking myself in the ass as well. You can't let yesterday affect today. That's the moral of this story. The other moral of the story is, damn it, Utah cannot win in LA. Well, they did win once in LA, and if you happen to be on Jeopardy, here's your answer. The last time Utah won in LA, it wasn't at Memorial Coliseum. It was at a place called Fiesta Park in 1916, and Utah's name at the time, their nickname, not the Utes, I think they were called the Crimsonites. There you go. You've got the answer. Okay, we're going to get to your complimentary plays. If you want to know who's hot, however, let me just tell you that Chuck O'Brien, who's made you a fortune here with his 100-dime major wagers in baseball, a 3-0 sweep with them this week. Ironically, a 3-0 sweep, and he took the Milwaukee Brewers on the run line all 3 times, but who's complaining? Twice they were run line underdogs of 115 and 120, including last night a run line win over the Pirates 10-1. 30-16 run with them in baseball. He has his first college football release this season, and it's the 8th ever 100-dime college football play of his career. It's on Central Florida in Pittsburgh, you get it for over half price off by using coupon code 100DIMER, 100DIMER. All the other discounts and coupon codes are over on the home page. With that being said, let's get to your complimentary plays here for tonight's card. I find the game between Utah State and San Diego State fascinating. And again, this is a series that has been one-sided, although these two teams have not met since 2016, I believe it is. San Diego State has dominated the series. They've won 12 of the last 13, including 10 straight. This is a Utah State team, though, that is a 4-point favorite, and I think the reason that they are a 4-point favorite is because of the success they had last year and the fact that they have played a tougher schedule so far this year. Tougher schedule even though they've only played 2 games. A tougher schedule even though they lost their big game and they rolled over a cream puff. So be it. They lost 38-35 in a barn burner at Wake Forest, but that was a battle-tested road game, right? They're coming off a bye. The bye followed a 62-7 rout of Stony Brook 2 Saturdays ago. They have won 8 straight games coming off a bye, I will tell you that. Now, San Diego State 3-0, but who have they played? Weber State barely beat them 6-0. 6-0. They beat UCLA, but everybody's beating UCLA. They beat them 23-14. They won 31-10 at New Mexico. Does New Mexico qualify as being a good team? I don't know. Are they any better than Stony Brook? I don't think so. They ran for 281 yards against the Lobos. Pretty one-dimensional offense, if you ask me. Now, Utah State is not as good as they were a year ago. They only had 2 starters back on offense. Of course, when one of the starters happens to be Jordan Love, it's not a bad guy to have. The one thing I will say that I've noticed so far about Utah State, a team that made me a lot of money last year, even though they lost 3 starting offensive linemen, their top 3 receivers, they have Jordan Love back, and they found a real find in a JUCO running back, Jalen Warren, who's averaged 8.8 yards per carry so far and topped the 100-yard barrier in both games so far. New Mexico has a bevy of top running backs, but their number 1 guy, Juwan Washington, has been bothered by a nagging ankle injury. Again, Utah State a 4-point favorite. I like them, however, in this game. Obviously, I'm buying down the half-point on Utah State, but I do like the the Aggies in this game. Wyoming off to a 3-0 start, but they're a one-dimensional team. They run the ball so damn effectively. Their quarterback couldn't hit the broadside of the barn if you paid him. Sean Chambers, 39.1% completions. Worst passing team in the Mountain West Conference, averaging just 81.7 yards a game. Then again, they're kind of resembling Air Force in terms of how they're running the ball, averaging 245 yards a game. Tulsa is allowing 187 yards per game on the ground, but Tulsa can throw the ball. They've got Zach Smith at quarterback. Zach Smith, of course, sat out a year after transferring from Baylor, so he has the pedigree in terms of throwing the ball. But, this is a Wyoming team. Their first 3 games, 75% of their offensive plays, 75% have been ground plays. Tulsa has played 2 Power 5 teams so far. They lost their opener 28-7 at Michigan State. They snapped a 13-game road skid last week with a 34-16 win at San Jose 2 weeks ago, and then they lost their home opener, 40-21 to Oklahoma State. Wyoming, a 3-0 start. They upset Missouri at home. They barely beat Texas State 23-14. They barely beat Idaho State as a 27.5-point favorite, 21-16, and that was in Laramie. I like Tulsa minus the 3.5 points, and I would buy down the half point in this one. Excuse me, guys. The other game here today. I went with Central Florida last week, and I think Central Florida is underpriced, undervalued as a 10.5-point favorite at Pittsburgh, because I was not impressed with Pittsburgh. I don't care that Pittsburgh hung tough and played Penn State well last week in Happy Valley, because I'm not impressed with Penn State either. I think Central Florida has a dynamic offense, as we've all seen. I think that Dylan Gabriel, the freshman that took over for the Notre Dame transfer, Brandon Wimbush, and started last week, threw for 347 yards and accounted for 4 touchdowns, is the real deal. I think with the way they run that up-tempo offense, that Pittsburgh's defense isn't going to be able to stop them. I think 10.5 is a ridiculously cheap price for a team that can beat you on the ground or through the air and is averaging a little over 600 yards of total offense. Who has Pittsburgh played? They played a Penn State team that is rebuilding both at the running back position and at quarterback. They've played a Virginia team that beat them soundly at home, and they beat an Ohio team that they should have beaten. Big deal. They haven't played anybody. I think for Central Florida, this is a game that they absolutely must win, and they have to win in an impressive fashion because, again, this is not about winning a game in the early part of the season. This is about making an impressive statement for later in the year, for November, for December, for the college playoff college playoff committee, showing that you beat Stanford handily at home, and then you went on the road the following week, you didn't have a letdown, and you beat the hell out of another Power 5 team. The fact that Pittsburgh is good or bad doesn't factor in. It's the fact that you beat 2 Power 5 teams in a row. That's what matters most. And to me, that's what this game is all about. And the fact that you're getting Central Florida, who I think should be laying at least 13.5 to 14 points in this game, at 10.5, lock, stock, and barrel. That's a steal for me. Love Central Florida. And again, I had a Razor Bar 20-dimer on Central Florida. They were my second favorite play today. So there you go. If I'm rating these 3 plays today, I'm taking Central Florida number 1. I'm taking Tulsa number 2. I'm taking Utah State number 3. That'll do it. Wish you well. Talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck, everybody.